What is good, Josh on the Smooth Game, man? Back with yet another reaction video, baby. Today we are back with another Anime Tuesday, man. A little double upload here today. In case you guys missed it, I didn't obviously not post yesterday. You know, kind of coming off the effects of the Super Bowl Sunday, so was not able to get a video up in time. So I posted a video at 12 o'clock here Eastern Standard Time today, so like 4 hours ago. Go back to the channel, check it out, man. If you guys already missed it, you wouldn't have missed it if you had that bell turned on. And go ahead and subscribe for your boy. Like this video, though, if you want more Anime Tuesdays to keep rolling out, and we'll keep bringing in more of these like ranked and explains or just reviews of different anime and just different stuff like anime news. We'll bring up more anime content for you guys every Tuesday as long as I can. So with all that being said, today we're doing all Magic Knight Captains ranked and explained as I am finishing up Black Clover. I feel like I know at least enough about it now, so I'm only 20 episodes away from being caught up, and obviously there's a new season that's going to drop soon, but it hasn't yet. So 20 episodes or so from being caught up to where we are current day. I feel like I could be able to talk about this and actually have good opinions. So we're gonna be talking our way through this one, man. So hold back, sit back for the ride, and let's see what order the captains rank, just based off of like what I know of. I wouldn't be able to exactly rank them off the top of my head because I don't know their names, but I got a pretty good idea of how this list should look. So if you guys agree with me, disagree with me, let me know in the comment section. Of course, you can always request certain videos that you want your boy to see. Let's go to get off the soapbox though and see what they're talking about here today.
So on this page, we like to talk about a bunch of anime. We talk about Naruto, JJK, Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer. But there's one anime that's very popular and very similar to the anime that we talk about more than any other anime, Naruto. And that anime is Black Clover. For a long time I thought, I don't know if I should cover Black Clover. I don't know how well it'll do on this page. Recently, I've been absolutely inundated with requests in order to make Black Clover videos. And considering the fact that I actually just finished volume 30 and I'm now re-caught up with the manga, I figured there's no better time. And I figured the most interesting thing to cover about Black Clover is to talk about the Magic Knight captains. You see, in most anime, there's groups of incredibly powerful people that everybody oogles at and wants to know all about in terms of their power and where they line in terms of ranks to each other. In Naruto, we have the Sannin and the Jonin and the Akatsuki. In Bleach, we have the Espada. In One Piece, we have the Seven Warlords. Well and truly, I don't believe there is a group in modern anime and manga that's as prolific as the Magic Knight captains, especially when you take into consideration their post-time skip power-ups. What's really cool about the Magic Knight captains now is that after the time skip, their power schemes and where they fall in terms of rankings has massively changed. Magic Knight captains that we thought were some of the weakest ones out of all of them are now some of the strongest. Unfortunately, as somebody who's caught up, I can now explain to you all of the powers
I guess a lot's about to happen in the next 20 episodes. I'm on episode like 150.
Before I get to ranking or explaining anything, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. So Magic Knight captains, the second highest rank you can have, one below Wizard King. They are the captains of the 9 Magical Knight squads. And as they hold the highest rank in these Magical Knight squads, most of the time they are the strongest people in said squad. I say most of the time because in the Golden Dawn and the Black Bulls, that's not the case. The Magical Knight captains are the Clover Kingdom's front line of defense. And recently in volumes 28, 29, and 30 of the manga, they have been sent to the Diamond Kingdom in order to fight the Dark Triad. But they were only sent here after a long and extensive power-up session for every single one of the captains. And while technically there is currently only 9 captains to the 9 Magical Knight squads, this list will include 11 captains. So with no further ado, let's get into ranking the Magical Knight captains. First on our list, we have a Magical Knight captain who's no longer a Magical Knight captain. That's because the first person on our list is Gouldre. You see, Gouldre was the captain of the Purple Orcas before Kaiser. He was a selfish, greedy man who amassed a fortune through sketchy means. And one of those means was selling out the Clover Kingdom's secrets using his transparency magic. You see, Gouldre was a traitor to the Eye of the Midnight Sun plan, and he sabotaged the Clover Kingdom in exchange for rare magical tools. And he was able to do this using his permeation magic. You see, Gouldre had the ability to make himself invisible, but not only just invisible, he could also make himself intangible to all other forms of magic. That is to say, in his invisibility form, he was basically untouchable. On top of that, Gouldre was able to use creation magic in combination with his permeation magic to create things like invisible soldiers. These invisible soldiers are exactly what it sounds like. Soldiers that you can't see. Think Limbo clones. So to your average person, this invisibility magic would basically be all he would need to defeat you or escape from a situation. However, we learned that his invisibility magic has one major weakness. Anybody who can sense ki, like Yami or Asta, can sense where he is. And while he is intangible to different types of magical attacks while he is invisible, he's not intangible to physical attacks. So while permeation magic is still very powerful in his hands, as he has a glaring weakness, he's the lowest entry on the list. Next entry on the list is the man who took over for him, Kaiser. You see, personality-wise and backstory-wise, we don't know a huge amount about Kaiser. We know more about his abilities than we do about him as a person. We know he can use vortex magic to make giant whirlwinds that can dispel magic. And these whirlwinds are actually powerful enough to dispel the magic of both William Vangeance and Fuegoleon. That doesn't mean that Kaiser is somebody that could beat William Vangeance or Fuegoleon in a 1v1. Kaiser's a bit like an archer or a support character in a video game. He's more useful when he's behind better fighters. We saw some of his weakness and a little bit of his strength come through in the Dark Triad arc. You see, Kaiser wasn't one of the people selected to go attack the Dark Triad. He was left behind in the Clover Kingdom to defend it from any possible attacks. So when an ancient demon is summoned to the Clover Kingdom, he and the Purple Orcas are the one who are tasked with defeating it. And while technically Kaiser does knock back the ancient demon a step or two with a vortex magic attack, at the end of the day, the ancient demon is able to dispel all of the magic of the Purple Orcas and basically destroy them, pushing Kaiser and all of the Purple Orcas into a corner until Asta appears and kills the ancient demon. Considering the fact that we've seen people on this list 1v1 ancient demons, we're gonna have to put Kaiser towards the bottom, since we're gauging attack power and not support efficiency. But since we're talking about support characters, the next entry on our list is also unfortunately a support character. Our next captain is Rill, captain of the Aqua Deer. Unfortunately for Rill,
hold on. I mean, his art stuff was still pretty good. Like, it was still able to attack. Who did he fight one-on-one? Was it Yuno? In the little tournament that they had when they were just trying to test out to see who would be on this elite guard, you know, to move forward. He obviously participated because he thought it was something else, just a fun game. I mean, I feel like his attack magic was still there. It might not have been, you know, I'm trying to remember who. I can't remember who he fought one-on-one, but I remember it was very close and he won pretty effectively. Wait, was it no. Was it dang, what's his name? It's escaping my mind right now. The lightning magic user on the Black Bulls always acts like a little kid. I forgot his name. I think it was him. They fought one-on-one, but he was able to beat him, and that's a pretty strong character. But as far as Magic Knights go, I mean, I can understand. He still did lose that tournament.
The Aqua Deer are currently the lowest ranked Magical Knight squad out of them all, kind of like the new Black Bulls. But that's not entirely Rill's fault, because Rill has always been incredibly powerful and actually just saw a very substantial power up. See, Rill is the youngest of all of the Magic Knight captains. But Rill was born extraordinarily talented in painting magic. However, unfortunately, his talent was never truly appreciated because he never truly appreciated those around him. You see, Rill would seclude himself in his room and paint and paint and paint, but he was always dissatisfied with the way the paintings came out. He was mostly dissatisfied with the fact that people didn't seem to understand his art. But after a particularly destructive day because nobody was understanding his art, Walter, his butler, after being grievously injured by this destruction, slapped Rill and told him until he began to appreciate the people around him, they would never appreciate his art. And it's at that point that Walter, his butler, tells him to join the Magic Knights. And after Rill joins the Magic Knights, at 19 years old, he becomes a squad captain. But here's the thing about Rill, he technically only gets stronger the more inspired he is. When Rill sees powerful people fighting around him, it inspires him to do greater painting works. And those greater painting works come with greater magical attacks. Like when we saw Rill be inspired by Yuno and Sylph's fusion. Rill actually painted a large dragon after being inspired by this fusion that was able to counter Yuno's fused attack with Sylph. That's right, Rill was able to counter a Spirit Storm, which is a Saint level attack. I just realized something. The Dark Triad arc is in the Spade Kingdom, not the Diamond Kingdom. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. And here's the thing, that's the power of painting magic. Since Rill is in control of what he paints, he's technically able to manifest any type of magic to counter other people's magic. As long as Rill is technically inspired enough, there's really nothing he can't counter. And this was proven in the Dark Triad arc in the Spade Kingdom. After being inspired by Noelle and Charlotte's fight against Magicula, he created a new painting magic technique called Twilight of Valhalla. And essentially what Twilight of Valhalla does is that anybody within the confines of the Valhalla that Rill paints cannot die, as long as they're on his side, that is. This is to say, as long as you are within the confines of his magic, no matter what physical damage you take, you will not die. That is to say, until his magic dissipates. But for 5 or so minutes, Rill can grant himself and anybody within his confines immortality. And this truly doesn't really have a peak. Rill uses it while the captains are fighting Lucifero. That's the king of all demons, and they're all able to take a ton of damage during this fight because Rill is using this technique. But unfortunately, just like our boy Kaiser, Rill kind of falls into the support category, even though we have seen him power match people like before he reached Saint stage. Our next entry on the list, however, does not fill a support role, because that entry is Charlotte.
Ain't no way. I ain't gonna, unless there's been something that I haven't seen from the little Mantis dude, I low-key might even put him below Rill. Unless there's something I haven't seen, like I'm gonna listen to him explain it, because I could be tripping. Charlotte, I mean, I guess maybe because she can't control it, but we literally seen how powerful she can be. It's monstrous. It is up there, at least in, because we're getting close to top 5 category. I feel like probably top 5 category. Like there might be a couple other people I'd probably put, above her, but we'll have to see how this goes. But that praying mantis dude, I feel like he got a slide.
Was born into the noble house of Rosalie, and when she was born, a curse was placed on her that stated when she turned 18, her and her family would be trapped in a cage of time. That is, unless a man stole her heart. Charlotte was resolved to become strong enough to break this curse herself. However, she wasn't able to do it after joining the magical night squads. When she turned 18, the curse took her over. However, Yami saved her from it. And by doing this, he stole Charlotte's heart, which stopped the curse but did not remove it. Which is important because Charlotte actually finds a way in the Dark Triad arc to use this curse to make herself more powerful. You see, Charlotte has the ability of briar magic, meaning that she can create and then manipulate briars, which are essentially just like thorny bushes. However, Charlotte's original briar magic form had red roses. However, the curse that was placed on her made her roses blue and weak. Therefore, prior to the Dark Triad arc, Charlotte trained in the Heart Kingdom studying runes for 6 months to create a different kind of briar magic out of her technique. Essentially, by using the power of the runes and tapping into the natural mana of the world that the Heart Kingdom uses to buff their magic, Charlotte was able to create briars that had red roses and therefore weren't hindered by her curse. However, when Charlotte studied this mana method created by the Heart Kingdom, she was able to turn her briars into an anti-curse weapon. Essentially, she tapped into the power of the curse placed onto her and applied it to her briars, making her briars now anti-curse. So should she come into combat with anybody who uses curse magic or is cursed, she's incredibly strong against them. On top of this, Charlotte is able to use creation magic with her briars, meaning that she can make shapes or forms or figures out of her briars. And after the 6-month training in mana method in the Heart Kingdom, Charlotte is able to go one-on-one against Vanica. In fact, until the first layer of the underworld opens and Vanica is able to use 100% of her devil possession, Charlotte beat her. That is to say, Charlotte was able to defeat an 80% powered Vanica, since her anti-curse briars fed on the curses that Vanica had. And then with the combination of the Twilight of Valhalla with Rill, Charlotte is able to give a good fight to Magicula, because Magicula is able to almost fully manifest in the world. And without her there supporting the fight, Noelle and Asta probably wouldn't have been able to kill Magicula. But since we're talking about killing Magicula, we can't talk about it without talking about Nozel.
Nozel? Hold on. 9, 8. Nozel 7? Wow. I would not have guessed that Nozel would be 7. I mean, his Mercury magic is very, very strong. He's fighting with Fogolion on like even footing, if not maybe a step ahead. Or, I mean, the Salamander Spirit is helping him out, so probably still even footing. 7 though? Dang.
Didn't do a whole lot in the Dark Triad arc. His strength is undeniable. He's the oldest son of one of the strongest noble households in all of the Clover Kingdom, the Silva family. And he's the captain of the Silver Eagles. And we've seen him go toe-to-toe against the Fire Spirit Salamander, even though his Mercury magic has a huge disadvantage to fire types. We've also seen him materialize a Mercury cage that was able to catch Patoli. And Patoli was the leader of the Eye of the Midnight Sun, the elf who took over William Vonjits's body, aka the strongest elf. And Nozel was able to create a Mercury cage around him that reflected all of his magical attacks back at him. And not to mention in the Dark Triad arc, he was the person to rip Megicula's body to shreds. He was able to do this by pumping the mercury into her body and then ripping it out in one of the more metal scenes in the entire manga. But since we were talking about Patoli, we gotta talk about the person who Patoli took over, William Vengeance. You see, there was a reason that William Vengeance was selected to open the underworld. And I know what you're saying. You're saying,
Nick, William Vengeance is kind of low on the list considering he's next in line to become the Magic King.
But based off the feats that we've seen from William Vengeance in comparison to other feats that we saw in the Dark Triad arc from other Magical Knight captains, it's
okay. I must have to get to this Dark Triad arc then. Hopefully that's what is covered in this last 20. I don't get left on a cliffhanger. I can't wait to watch it. But there must be so much that I'm about to see, because having him down here like 5 and Nozel down 2, and to have, we still ain't even seen Praying Mantis dude. I forgot his name, but how is he stronger than both of these two? That man is useless. He's been booty trash. I haven't seen him do one thing successful without Captain Yami helping him out. He can't even cook either. Shout out to the filler arcs.
Hard to put him above them. It's because William Vengeance was unconscious for the majority of the Dark Triad arc and only made the sword that was used to kill Lucifero at the end, but still, before we get into power scaling him, let's talk about William Vengeance's backstory. William Vengeance was born as an illegitimate child to a noble family. And on top of the fact that he was a bastard, he was also born with a massive scar over his face, so he was thought to be cursed. Because he was a bastard and also thought to be cursed, he was sent to live in the Forsaken Realm. However, when his father, who was the head of the noble family he was born from, has their heir die, he's brought to the noble realm. However, his father's wife, who isn't his mother, she was the woman who got cheated on to make him, doesn't like him very much because he's a physical representation of infidelity. It wasn't until William turned 13 that he met Julius Novacrona, currently the head of the Grey Deer. Julius, blown away with William's world tree magic, invites him to join the Magic Knights. However, William was afraid to be out in public because of his face, so Julius gives him a mask he still wears to this day. As William grows older, he realizes that he's been inhabited by Patoli, and slowly but surely they begin to relate to each other, and William starts to enact the Eye of the Midnight Sun plan. Obviously this fails, and William is outed as the traitor who allowed the elves' plan to almost come to fruition. But William was an incredibly powerful ally for the elves to have because of his world tree magic. See, William's world tree magic allows him to create and manipulate world trees. What is a world tree, and why is being able to manipulate and create one so important and powerful? See, a world tree is just like a regular tree, except it can also suck mana away from people in order to grow the tree even larger. That is to say, if you come into contact or simply just near a world tree, it can sap your mana, and then it can use that mana to continue growing. And the larger that tree gets, well, more William has to work with in terms of offensive and defensive capability, because he can manipulate the tree to attack or defend. And these trees can grow to the size of cities. William Vengeance can even go so far as to throw a seed at somebody that will sap all of their mana and grow a tree around them, immobilizing them. But his tree magic goes even further than this. He can actually create trees that can heal people. His Budding of Yggdrasil spell can heal anybody, even from the brink of death, as long as they come into contact with it. It's like Mimosa's ultimate healing magic, but he can do it too. On top of that, William is able to create things from his world trees, like the Mistletoe Blade. And this was the only blade strong enough to kill Lucifero. Since we're talking about Lucifero, we should talk about the captain who actually stood toe-to-toe with his host before he manifested. That would be none other than Dorothy. Dorothy is the captain of the Coral Peak.
Sorry, I hit my mic, y'all. So sorry if that made a lot of noise. But Dorothy? You mean to tell me she's stronger than Vengeance and Nozel and Charlotte? If anything, I probably would even put her below, I was calling her, I think Rue, right? Yeah, Rue. I would have put her down there above the two orcas. You mean Miss sleeps a lot? Now, don't get me wrong. When she awake or when she puts you in that dream world, it is pretty bad. But we've seen people escape it easily, especially when she was in elf form. The whole team got out. Yami got out. These last 20 episodes are about to tell me so much. That's all.
And she's actually a witch, just like Vanessa from the Witch's Forest. Dorothy is an incredibly heavy sleeper, being asleep most of the time. She's walking around in meetings or even fighting. And this is because her magic is dream magic. See, dream magic is absolutely terrifying. It essentially makes Dorothy the god of her own dimension. What do I mean by that? Essentially, Dorothy is able to pull people into a dimension of her own creation that is essentially her dreamland. And she is in control of this dimension completely. Anything that she thinks will come to existence immediately. So if Dorothy pulls you into her dimension and thinks flamethrower, then she'll have a flamethrower that she can light you on fire with. If you try to attack her with magic in this universe, she can either think of your magic just disappearing or think of something to counter it completely. Essentially, if you're within her dimension, you lose. We've seen her been able to confine incredibly powerful people into this dimension, like Yami. However,
But
Yami is also the only person who's ever broken out of her dream dimension. Because here's the thing.
Am I tripping? During the elf art, wasn't there a whole team of... It wasn't the Black Bulls? Yeah, it was almost the whole team of Black Bulls, and they got out. Now, granted, I think they tricked her into getting out by like thinking of an exit door, and they all walked out the door because that's what Yami tried to do. That's what you guys saw, that like the cat thing like opened it up. They like tricked her into doing it, but it still counts as getting out. Like, so there's two, not even people, a group and a person that got out.
Without the ability to cut through dimensions like Yami, or the ability to attack constructs or concepts like higher level demons, you are stuck in that dimension forever. Unless, of course, you make Dorothy think of something like a door and she spawns a door and you walk through it. Now, unfortunately, this magic does fall apart at higher levels. She was sent by Noct to fight Morris during the Dark Triad arc. Morris, who was the host of Lucifera. However, unfortunately, even before the second gate to the underworld opened and Lucifera was able to manifest at 50% power, Morris was still able to use a lot of his abilities. Specifically, Morris was able to attack things like concepts, meaning he could destroy things like dreams. He even in this form had the ability to go up against Vanessa's fate magic, which controls the concept of actions and consequences, essentially being able to rewrite reality. He could go up against that. But Dorothy was fighting this fight one-on-one and was able to hold him off until the Black Bulls arrived. And what's truly wild about that is that Morris was technically a hard counter to her abilities, and yet even though she was pushed into a corner, she survived, which is why she's higher on this list than a lot of other people, because Morris, before the second level of the underworld opened, was probably stronger than every single member of the Dark Triad, because he was being inhabited by the strongest demon. But enough talking about people who just survived attacks from demons. What about people who actually killed demons? Well, the first entry on that list would be Jack. You see, Jack is the captain of the Green.
Jack killed a demon? Ain't no, it had to be Yami next to him. Ain't no way. Everything I've seen from this man has been weak up to this point. He must be about to shock the life out of me, because everything I've seen to this point has been butt booty cheek weak.
Mantises. He was a commoner born to a hunter who manifested a blade magic at a very young age. His father told him to use his blade magic to hunt. However, his father always stressed that you should only ever hunt things that are weaker than you. However, Jack the Ripper only ever wanted to fight things stronger than him, which is why when his father was killed by a massive bear, Jack at the age of 13 hunted it down and killed it. You see, throughout the story, Jack is technically Yami's rival. And this makes sense because Jack has slashing magic. See, Jack is able to form blades anywhere on his body that are made of mana. But these aren't just regular blades. No, these blades actually adapt to the person he's fighting and become sharper to their specific kind of magic. Because Jack is able to cut through any kind of magic. We've seen him cut through spatial magic and gravity magic. In his fight against Dante in the Dark Triad arc, Dante uses gravity magic on him that pins him to the ground. However, Jack manifests blades all around his body that slice through the gravity. Yes, you heard that correctly. Jack can cut gravity. And Jack's blades are actually so deadly that they can negate regeneration, which is why he was such a good match for Dante. You see, after Dante's taken out by Yami and Asta, he's brought back to the Spade Kingdom and his body is reconstructed. And he's actually brought back stronger than he was when he fought Yami and Asta. And even so, Jack fights him when he's at 80% power before the first level of the underworld opens and wins. An 80% awoken Dante required both Yami and Asta to push themselves to the edge of their lives to beat. And yet Jack was able to do it pretty much by himself. Obviously then the first level of the underworld opens and Dante is able to awaken to 100% devil unison, and Magna is actually the one who defeats him. However, after Magna walks away thinking that he's killed Dante, Dante re-rises. And at this point,
I don't even care about that, but Magna got a body.
Fully fused and going out of control Dante. And that's saying something. The fact that he was able to wipe out an 80% Dante and finish off 100% Dante is why I put him higher than people like Dorothy or William who don't have beats like that. On top of that, he's shown the ability to destroy concepts like gravity, something that we've only seen Yami do thus far. But unfortunately for Jack, his power pales in comparison to the next entry on our list, Fuegoleon. You see, Fuegoleon has a complicated history as it pertains to him being a captain. He is the current captain of the Crimson Lions, however, he was temporarily replaced by his sister, Mereoleona.
So I guess we're gonna see
Fuegoleon
her
was
on
born
here.
to one of the 3 biggest noble families in the Clover Kingdom, the Vermilion family, and therefore he was born with an immense amount of mana and power. And we've seen this mana and power on display many times. First time we see Fuegoleon in action is in the beginning of the Elf arc, when he's going up against Rades and all of his corpses. However, at that point, Fuegoleon is teleported to a different space by Valtos, where he has to fight William Vengeance and Patoli. And truly, the only reason William Vengeance wins this fight and takes Fuegoleon's arm is because he was surprised that William Vengeance would turn traitor. However, losing his arm would be a small setback for Fuegoleon, because after Fauna was abandoned by Salamander, it chose Fuegoleon as its next master, meaning he was now a master of one of the strongest elemental spirits on Earth. And Salamander
Really
replaced his arm with a flame arm. And upon receiving this flame arm, Fuegoleon goes on to be a key player in the Elf arc, especially when he came upon his fellow captain Kaiser, who'd been taken over by an elf. Now, Kaiser is the second weakest person on this list, but oh my god, did Fuegoleon put it on him, which is a lot when you consider the fact that anybody possessed by an elf was much stronger than they usually are. So that was a buffed Magic Knight captain. As for feats in the Dark Triad arc, Fuegoleon has next to none. He was essentially on fodder cleanup duty after the first gate of the underworld opened.
Dang,
he was able
not fodder,
to
cleanup,
easily
dude.
wipe out lower and mid-level demons. However, he wasn't fighting any of the Dark Triad, and when he tries to fight Lucifero, Lucifero basically shrugs off his fire attacks and throws him at the speed of light. But truly, the only reason that I have Fuegoleon this high up is the fact that he does have a elemental spirit in Salamander, and that he is often compared in strength to his sister, Mereoleona.
Who's that
In the world.
Also, his fire magic, while straightforward, usually is incredibly powerful. Fuegoleon can use creation magic in combination with his fire magic to do basically whatever he wants. He has a penchant for creating massive fire lions to attack his enemies, but he can also make those fire lions shoot laser beams out of their mouths in the form of a fire column. He has an ability called Ignis Columna that essentially allows him to make a pillar of fire around himself that rejects all magic. He has another ability called Leopolma, which he can use to restrain other magicians. And also, of course, he has the ability to use Mana Skin and Mana Zone. And in terms of mastery, he's second only to Mereoleona of Mana Skin and Mana Zone. Mana Skin being the ability to wrap yourself in magic that coats you defensively, but also boosts your physical attributes. Since we're talking about Mereoleona, let's talk about Mereoleona. She was a temporary captain for the Crimson Lions, and the only reason that Fuegoleon is actually the captain of the Crimson Lions is because she rejected the position. She is the oldest heir of the Vermilion family, being 2 years older than Fuegoleon, and she trained with Asier Silva when she was young, Noel's mother, one of the strongest magicians ever. Her fire magic kind of makes Fuegoleon look like sparklers. You see, because while everything we saw in the anime from her was scary and powerful, and she mastered Mana Zone, and that made her more powerful, what we see from her in the Dark Triad arc is quite literally next level. You see, Mereoleona is the queen of reinforcement magic. With her use of Mana Zone, she is able to create a Mana Skin around her that boosts her defensive abilities to a superhuman rate. And this reinforcement magic is so powerful that she can quite literally bathe in lava. Her Mana Zone also allows her to control all of the mana in the area that she is inhabiting, allowing her to buff the power of her spells and maneuver.
Hey, look, I'm just saying, on some hear me out type, let me bathe with you.
Midair, essentially meaning that she can fly or dodge attacks while in midair with nothing to jump off of. But truly, out of everybody, and that is including both Asta and Yami, I was most impressed with her in the Dark Triad arc. First off, in the beginning of the arc, she goes up against an ancient demon. You know, like the ancient demon that the first Wizard King got crowned for defeating? Yeah, she goes one-on-one against it. And there's quite literally no reason to believe that this ancient demon would be any weaker than the one that the first Wizard King went up against. But how was she able to beat this ancient demon? Well, she used a little ability called Hellfire Incarnate, where essentially Mereoleona coats herself in fire that only makes her stronger the longer she fights. Essentially, as Mereoleona fights and heats up, the hellfire around her becomes stronger and boosts her magical power even further. Using this ability in her ability Purgatory Abyss, she was quite literally able to put an ancient demon on a t-shirt by herself. The only other people we've ever seen be able to 1v1 an ancient demon are Asta in the first Wizard King. But that's literally not even the craziest thing she's done. After the second gate to the underworld opens and Lucifero is able to manifest at 50% power, all of the captains pull up on him. Essentially, they want to give Asta a second to recover. And all of the captains are getting curb stomped by him, except Leona. You see, when it comes down to true killing time, and it's Asta, Yami, and Noct fighting against Lucifero, Leona is still in the mix. She legitimately traded punches with the king of demons. And while obviously she didn't do much damage and she took a lot of damage herself, the fact that she could stand in the pocket and fight against Lucifero is saying something. But obviously she didn't stand in the pocket and fight Lucifero as much as the next entry on our list, Yami.
Captain, my captain.
Now, Yami obviously is the captain of the Black Bulls. Yami is from the land of the rising sun. It's Japan. However, one day he went fishing and he hit a storm that washed him ashore in the Clover Kingdom. However, being a foreigner in a super racist country, not speaking the language, and also having dark magic made him an outcast. But fortunately for him, Julius Novacrono loves outcasts and recruited him to the Grey Deer Squad. This is where he met William Vengeance. And as time went on, Yami proved himself as a magical knight and eventually became the captain of the Black Bulls, hoping to give magical outcasts like himself a place to exist. But Yami was rare, even as outcasts go. See, like I stated earlier, Yami has dark magic, aka the ability to control and manipulate darkness. And Yami usually uses this magic by channeling it into his katana, because Yami, coming from Japan, wanted to use a katana to battle. But how does one use dark magic, and why is it so powerful? Well, dark magic lives up to its name of darkness. It has the ability to absorb all other magic types, because Yami's darkness is all-consuming, just like how darkness consumes the entire world. Yami is shown to use this ability against Licht when he was able to absorb his light magic. On top of this, Yami has shown the ability to funnel so much magic into his katana that he can slash dimensions. His Dark Cloak Dimension Slash quite literally cuts through dimensional planes, which gave him the ability to slice Dorothy's dream magic in half. But Yami's dark magic is good for more than just offensive capabilities. He also has defensive capabilities like Dark Moon. Dark Moon, one of Yami's abilities, is how he absorbs magic, or really anything for that matter, because Yami is able to make a black hole that creates a bubble around him that will absorb anything that he chooses. See, Yami can be discriminate about what he wants absorbed by Dark Moon, meaning that his own magic or the magic of anybody inside of Dark Moon that he doesn't want absorbed won't be. On top of this, Yami can fire his dark magic out the tip of his katana in a laser-like fashion, which he used to completely destroy Dante's torso. And even if you ignore his dark magic, Yami is a master in reinforcement magic. He uses reinforcement magic to make himself faster because dark magic is very slow. His reinforcement magic prowess is so impressive that he can even stand under Dante's gravity magic, something that you have to be basically an arcane level mage to pull off. Yami is also able to use binding magic with his dark magic, being able to strain people like Licht with his darkness. That's not even Yami's strongest form. Yami's strongest form comes in the form of union magic. You see, when Yami uses his magic in tandem with Noct's shadow magic, they create union magic. Because shadows create darkness and darkness creates shadows, therefore their magic works together to make each other exponentially more powerful. Therefore, Yami has access to abilities like Doppelganger, which is able to essentially slice Lucifero in half. And on top of all of this, Yami has Ki, which is a technique hailing from the land of the rising sun where he's from, which when trained gives him a preternatural sixth sense, essentially meaning that he can sense his enemies and what they're about to do. This allows people like him and Asta who are trained in Ki to see through things like permeation magic. And when you combined all this with the fact that he has a sword made from the world tree given to him by William Vengeance, well, of course he's our strongest captain. What do you guys think of the list? Do you guys think anybody should have been placed in other places? Do you agree with my reason? And
I mean, for sure. I agree with the reasonings after hearing some of the stuff that they did in the other arcs. I still think though Dorothy's a little bit too high in my opinion. Maybe I'm just doing recency bias here, or like just straight up 1v1. I do feel like Nozel is stronger, and I definitely feel like Vengeance is stronger. I mean, and obviously too, he said, I mean, Lagonia was over there getting tossed around at light speed and basically was just cleanup duty fodder. So, I mean, honestly, why is he even, you know, above Vengeance either? So I don't know. It seems like every bad person wants to use Vengeance's body and magic to do stuff. So I would think that alone would want to push him a little bit higher. Because it's the second time he's been used. Apparently, like I said, I haven't seen the Dark Triad arc, but he said he's being used again. So second time that man's been used for his body and magic. So I would think he'd be a little bit higher. But yeah, Dorothy, I feel like at least deserves to go down below those two. Rui, I mean, I thought the paint magic was gonna be tough. I could see why he's saying that though, going down a little bit with the support character type of role. But I mean, honestly, kind of, you know, I think it still could be used offensively. But let me know what you guys think down below, man. Do you guys agree with that too as well? I would say as far as the top 3 goes though, I am okay with that. Yami, I forgot her, Leona, and then Fogolion. I do think that's that way, because I do think if in the 1v1 battle, I think Fogolion would take down Nozel, although Nozel I feel like would be right behind. Actually, no, I feel like Von just would still be able to take him. So I feel like it probably should, top 3 should probably be Yami, Leona, and then Vonjus, and then followed up by with Fogolion and Nozel, and then of course the rest of the fodder kind of fills in below. Oh no, I'm sleeping on Jack still again, bro. Like he did. And he's able to cut, like, okay, I'll probably put him right behind Vonjus then, and then have the other 2, and then have the rest of the fodder. So it looks like we have 6 strong captains, and then just everybody else, which one of those 6 isn't even a captain anymore. She turned it down. So let me know what you guys think, though, down below, man. Where is Black Clover as far as your favorite animes, man? It's up there for me. I got wanted to do a full list of the animes that I've watched and really, like, organize what my top 3, 5, 10 is, like, where would I actually put these anime, so I can actually give you guys like a decent list. But I mean, it's up there. It's still a good anime for sure. I don't think it cracks my top 3 though, but I do love Black Clover. I love where I'm at on it, and I can't wait to finish it up, get caught up, and watch that new season when it does drop sometime this year. So if you guys are right there along with me, man, like, comment, subscribe. You guys will have the video. We got more anime content coming next week. I'll catch you guys there, man. It's me, watching this movie. Get Black Hokage, Black Avatar, and King Leo, and newest member of the Black Bulls. I gotta go ahead and add myself to that too. Catch y'all later. Peace.